Hello, thank you for joining me again. I have made the dubious decision to take all the audio in this whole video and route it straight into FabFilter Pro R. So everything is going to sound verby, and I am not sorry. We're going to start with reverbs of 100 milliseconds, and I'm going to take you all the way through to 10,000 millisecond reverbs. And along the way, I'll give you some tips and some advice for how you might want to use reverbs of these kind of lengths. So let's get familiar with them. You may be wondering why it doesn't sound very reverberant. The reason for that is because the reverb length is very short. There are two knobs I'm going to want you to keep an eye on. That is the space knob. The space knob controls the duration of the reverb. And then also the mix knob. The mix knob controls what percent of the output of the plugin is dry versus wet. And if it doesn't sound to you like there's much verb going on, I want you to know that that is normal. Our brains, with the intent of helping us understand and listen better, have learned to tune out reverberation that is really short because it doesn't do us any good. And just to make sure I'm not pulling your leg, I'm going to briefly bypass the reverb plugin. That means turning it off. And now you can hear what my voice sounds like without the reverb. And then we'll turn it back on. Now, it should be a little more clear to you that it's doing something, but that your brain has this really powerful capacity to tune it out and not care about it. What kind of a use case would you have for a reverb this short? Well, it's precisely the fact that it doesn't sound like a reverb that it becomes really useful. For instance, you can take something that's mono and give it some stereo width. Reverb plugins algorithmically introduce stereo information, or they're emulating real spaces that have distinctions in the left and right channels. But because the reverb is short, you're not going to get a long reverb tail that makes it sound like it's being moved into a new space. If you get a microphone really close to something, it just becomes more detailed, more gritty, more harsh, more raw. So what you can do then is take a really short reverb. You're going to have to tune it a little bit, the length and the mix, and put it on top of that raw, dry audio so that you can take off a little bit of that unnatural edge.
2,000 years later. 2,000 years later.
It's precisely the fact that the verb is so short, our brains tune it out, that it becomes so effective at these things. Cool. I think we're good. Are we good? I'm going to move on. This is my studio, and we are officially passing the 300 millisecond mark in our reverb. How does it sound? Here's a little clap test. To my ears, this is the point where reverb actually starts sounding like reverb and not just some stereo widening ambience. But first, let me explain a little bit about the acoustics. Hey babe, I'm recording.
Sorry.
Do you need me?
Bye.
I had to go give my wife a kiss. Let me take a little acoustics detour. The way reverberation works is that sounds we make come into contact with surfaces, and then they bounce back and we hear it a second time. A reverberation is a blend of a lot of these distinct echoes that blur into a smear of sound. Every time that sound impacts some sort of surface, it's losing a little bit of energy. It's like a bouncy ball. You drop it, it'll hit the ground, and it won't bounce back as high as the height that you dropped it from. And sound behaves the same way. So how can we take advantage of this in a musical context? We can use reverb to make things sound loud, and we can withhold reverb to make things sound quiet. A lot of drum loops and samples these days come really dry, and that is nice because it gives you flexibility. But if you don't add any reverb to your drums, then it also makes them feel kind of naked and maybe a little weak. This kick is so loud, but it's not loud enough to make my walls shake. Why am I not hearing it bounce off the walls? So here are some dry drums. And here are some wet drums. Which one gives you the impression of being louder? It's the one with reverb. I don't know how else to describe it aside from reverb feels big. Another good use case for reverbs of this length is that it helps ground your music in reality. If I had to make a guess, this is the length of reverb that I think we hear the most often in our day-to-day lives. It just sounds normal. It sounds like I'm at home. It's cozy. It feels natural and realistic. And if you are working on any music that needs a little bit of this, I am in your home with you, sit down with me feel, then this is a reverb length you should be reaching for.
50 weeks and some odd days, the year goes by and I'm sleeping later every night.
I don't know if that makes sense. This is less of a sciencey thing and more of a vibes thing, but I think you would probably agree. Let me know. So, am I still intelligible, or should we keep going? We have officially passed the 1 second mark. Now, what do I mean when I say the reverb is 1 second? Does that mean that after 1 second of time, the reverb has terminated and it's done making sound? The way reverb is measured is with a metric called the RT60. And RT60 is a measurement of how long it takes for reverberation to decrease by 60 decibels in volume. So if I make a loud sound, the amount of time it takes for that reverb to decrease by 60 decibels is 1 second. Reverbs of 1 second or more start entering the consciously noticeable territory. These are reverbs long enough that you might notice that you sound different in these spaces. Typically, vocals will have reverbs roughly in this length. Guitars and keys, anything in the mid frequencies and up can really benefit from reverbs of this length.
When there's so many shades of gray, so many layers in between, they go unseen in a bright day.
I think now is probably a good time to clear up a common misconception. The length of a reverb is not determined by the size of the space you are in. For example, if you enter a small bathroom with tiles on the walls and a big glass mirror, sound in that space is going to keep bouncing around because there are no absorbent surfaces to absorb it. This belief that a larger space means more reverb is just something we've learned as humans through association. You walk into a cathedral and suddenly, wow, you sound so echoey, so reverberant. And that's because it's mostly made of stone. You've got big glass windows, hardwood benches, and probably not enough people inside to make a big difference. And so that means we've got a long reverb tail. But it's not because it's big, it's because of the surfaces, the materials. Now let me leave you off with a little warning. Reverbs of 1 second or longer start becoming problematic harmonically. If you are putting it on a piano and you're moving to a new chord, the reverb on the previous chord is going to bleed across into your new chord. It's like if you held the pedal down on a piano and let all the notes that you played blur and smear into each other. That is certainly an effect, but it creates a lot of harmonic garble. One solution to this is to make sure that you're removing the low frequencies. This prevents the root or the bass notes of whatever harmonic content you are adding reverb to from blending and smearing into the new chords. Yeah, I guess that's all I had to say here. How long is our reverb now? Should we keep going? By the way, this video is unsponsored and brought to you by me because I love you. This is my rat prism, and this I got at a farmer's market, and it has a cute flower, and I like stuff like that. We are now passing the 3-second mark. This is what I would consider a long reverb. To me, these feel majestic and scary, beautiful and celestial. Because the length of the reverb is so long, it allows you to take sounds that aren't very long and makes them stretch out across a longer period of time. It's sort of like if a person in your life has had a big impact on you and then they pass away, the good deeds and the emotional connection they had with you lingers beyond the time of their death. And I think reverb is similar in that even after a sound has ceased, the reverberation increases how long after the sound is done that it is still perceived and has an impact. Because of that, I'd like to use really long verbs on the most critical elements of a song. This could be a lead vocal or a soloist instrument. I don't want to wrap this video up without giving you a little practical advice. So here are a few tips for utilizing reverb. In most situations, I would recommend using multiple verbs of different lengths. What you'll want to do is look at each element in your song and choose how close you want it to be. Your drums can be close-ish, so use a short reverb. Your keys and strings can be at a medium distance, and then your choir or your background vocals can be at a large distance. Use a diversity of different reverb lengths so that you have contrast in the depth in the music. If everything is equally close to the listener, then it becomes harder for them to know what they're supposed to be listening to because all of it is begging for their attention.
I'll be here.
So if you wanted your lead vocal to really occupy every inch of space from front to back, top to bottom, you could give it a short verb, a medium verb, and a long verb, and a delay. You can combine all of these to have this really massive sound that feels like it's the only thing you can listen to.
Open for you. After all, that's what giving trees do.
You aren't locked to just one length of reverb per instrument. So feel free to pick whatever element in your song is the most important and give it a little verb in each of these lengths so that it can tie together the whole spectrum of reverbs. If you have made it all the way to the end and are still listening to me sound like I'm deep within a cave, then I applaud your tenacity. I also wanted to say thank you for watching. When I released that video on routing, I wasn't really expecting much, but seeing how there are so many people who felt instructed and enlightened and have left all these uplifting comments has really encouraged me and given me this feeling like I'm on the right path. Thank you for staying a while to listen, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Mist and shadow.